Hi, I'm Tom Scioli, author of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. Saturday, May 6th is Free Comic Book Day, and there's going to be a special Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan. Tell your local comics retailer to reserve a copy of I Am Stan, the Free Comic Book Day edition, for you. And in the show notes below, there's a pre-order link where you can find lots of different ways to pre-order I Am Stan, the final book. And so today I wanted to talk about this comic, Classic Star Wars Devil Worlds. I'm a huge fan of Star Wars, and I'm a huge fan of Alan Moore. And so what could be better than Star Wars comics written by Alan Moore? This issue collects a couple of the short Star Wars stories that Alan Moore wrote for Marvel UK's Star Wars comic, along with some other Marvel UK Star Wars comics. One of them being written by Steve Moore, no relation, but Alan Moore cites Steve Moore as his mentor, the guy who taught him everything he knows. Got a great cover here by Chris Mueller, another Pittsburgh-based artist. Devil World. So we have The Dark Lord's Conscience, written by Alan Moore, with art by John Stokes, lettering by John Aldrich, colorist James Sinclair. Then you have The Dark Knight's Deviltry, written by Steve Moore, drawn by Alan Davis, letters by Jenny O'Connor, and colorist Matt Webb. The Flight of the Falcon, written by Steve Parkhouse, art by John Stokes, letterer Jenny O'Connor, colorist Laura Allred. And then Blind Fury, written by Alan Moore, drawn by John Stokes, lettered by John Aldrich, colored by James Sinclair. So we got The Dark Lord's Conscience. This is Alan Moore entering the world of George Lucas. And as it explains up here, these stories were originally commissioned in the early 1980s by Marvel UK for their Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back black and white magazine. Longtime fans will remember that these early Star Wars comics, both in the US and Great Britain, did not stick as closely to established style and continuity than they do now. The stories are presented here in America and in color for the first time as historical curiosities and a look at the early work of some of England's finest creative talent. So, I mean, I think it's kind of undersold there. This is, Alan Moore, the Dark Lord himself, creating Star Wars comics, and it's everything you'd hoped it would be. Sinister, dark, lots of cool world building, inventive transitions. And so he's, invented this alien race that's sort of Lovecraftian, and Lovecraft is one of Alan Moore's obsessions. And you have this kind of octopus-looking creature, inside this sphere that I assume is, and again, these are all motifs we see in other Alan Moore comics, this sort of glass sphere that contains its own ecosystem to support the life of the strange creature within. And across the room is Darth Vader sitting in a throne, and they're playing this version of chess called Fire Path. And when you capture a piece, you press a button and it bursts into flames. Pretty fun. And they're sort of playing their game, and they're talking about, gambits and maneuvers and traps. And, it's all very sinister. The drawing is amazing. Darth Vader is very brooding and menacing. There's some stormtroopers patrolling outside, and this guy called Clat the Shamer. And he is a mutant. He's an empath. And he can see into your soul and pull out your deepest shame and make you wallow in it to the point of desperation where you just kill yourself. And so he pulls up some, wartime atrocities that this stormtrooper has committed, and the stormtrooper turns his blaster on himself. And now it's this guy's turn. The game of Fire Path continues. Darth Vader's lost some pieces, but they're each testing each other. And now the shadow of Clat the Shamer continues. He works his way through, and now Vader. I, Clat the Shamer, have come to claim your soul. Tonight, monster, tonight is the night you die.
I see. And how's this to be accomplished? I notice you are unarmed.
And so, Clat explains his powers, and he's going to dig into the deepest shames and the war crimes and atrocities that Darth Vader's committed. And having seen the prequels, We know the depths of these. You know what you must do. And when Clat the Shamer would say that to any of these guys, they would turn their guns on themselves. But he's trying this against a Sith Lord, a dark Jedi Master.
Yes, yes, I know what I must do. Western Radial, 5th Stone.
A black metal finger brushes a dull silver switch. Clat the Shamer has less than a second to realize his terrible mistake. Flash! He bursts into flames.
Shall we continue the game, my lady? It would appear that your position is compromised.
And now this sort of Lovecraftian creature is terrified. You know, her plan of keeping Darth Vader occupied while Clat the Shamer comes in as sort of an assassination weapon has failed. And what she doesn't realize is that in her excitement, she's stepped onto one of the fire paths, and Darth Vader presses the button.
Sorcerer's Ring, 1st Stone. A scrappy, disappointing opening, but the endgame provided some satisfaction.
So again, lots of great chess references. I was a chess champion myself in high school, and so I always enjoy a good, chess-related comic. Scott McCloud wrote a really good one, too, about his experiences playing chess. But yeah, great little, EC-style vignette. The EC comics were hugely influential on Alan Moore, and he applies that, sort of O. Henry twist ending approach and sort of wallowing in the darkness. He applies that approach to Star Wars, and it brings a different note to Star Wars, and a note that might have felt a little bit odd, in the early '80s, but it really fits Star Wars like a glove now. Just what Star Wars has sort of evolved into over the years. It kind of strikes the right note. The opening text of this comic almost apologizes for these stories, but I would say this one is essential reading. So I recommend you track this comic down. And so then we get a Steve Moore comic, The Dark Knight's Devilry, artist Alan Davis. I mean, one of the all-time greats. It's a good story. I recommend it, but we're here for the Alan Moore. So yes, this is good stuff, but worth your time, worth reading, enjoyable Star Wars story. But it's not Alan Moore. And what is? And then we have The Flight of the Falcon, written by Steve Parkhouse, and it's another fine story. Art by John Stokes, who does the art for the Alan Moore stories in here. And so now this comic ends with Blind Fury. So we had a short, punchy, EC-style story revolving around Darth Vader. Now, as the bookend, we have one revolving around Luke Skywalker. How perfect. Father and son. See him, Luke Skywalker, the new boy in hell. Again, pretty great. A different note for Star Wars, but just sort of like deepens and reinforces all of it. And this setup here with all these ghosts and ghouls, creepies and crawlers, Alan Moore's got this encyclopedic knowledge of comics history. He's drawing on Prince Valiant. This is like one of the earliest Prince Valiant stories. There's a sequence where Prince Valiant imagines that he's being attacked by every manner of ghoul and ghost. And then there's also elements of a story by Archie Goodwin with art by Wally Wood, which also, draws a lot of inspiration from Prince Valiant. But I feel like Alan Moore's kind of, taking both of those comics, sort of merging them together in this, and adding in a bunch of other original elements and Star Wars stuff. And so Luke, the new boy in hell, is being attacked by all these demons and whatnot. We flash back. This is what's going on now. Now we flash back a little bit before that, and he's inside his spaceship practicing with that little remote ball that he blindfolded to practice his Jedi Force technique, his lightsaber technique. And he keeps referencing, Ben, and how, I wish Ben was here to sort of continue my training. He gets this beacon, this distress beacon. This is like a setup. This is kind of like a Conan story. It's like Luke Skywalker in a Conan story. It's kind of like an H.P. Lovecraft story, a Robert E. Howard story, but he's drawn with a distress beacon to this planet, this sort of ghost planet, not unlike Alan Moore's story that he did for the Green Lantern Corps, where the Green Lantern of Earth that predated Hal Jordan, the one who, you know, sort of crash lands in the first issue of Green Lantern. It's kind of like that story that Alan Moore did there, where like the Green Lantern is drawn by a distress call to this planet where, you know, demons are imprisoned. Demons were imprisoned, you know, millennia ago by the Owens. Luke is drawn to this planet. First, he's attacked by all these monsters, but it's all in his mind. And then he goes further into the darkness. It's a deep, deep darkness. Even his lightsaber doesn't seem to be casting much light. He finds soul snares, these gems where the souls, you know, souls are trapped, the souls of fallen Jedi. It makes his way deeper and deeper into this sort of, you know, Lovecraftian den of evil. Behold, Jedi. And really cool, finds this pyramid, this sort of pyramid with like a glass pyramid on top. And from behind, this guy looks kind of like what Darth Vader looked like with his helmet off. And so then they create a face of what I mean, I imagine they're sort of guessing this being not too different from what Darth Vader might look like under his mask. But this is some, you know, ancient guy, ancient evil wizard who was like at war with the Jedi, you know, a million years ago. He's like an artificial intelligence. It's like a computer program that's running through, and even the face kind of looks like it might be photo referenced, but from like a you know, Boris Karloff or something. But it's pretty cool. And again, at this point, Return of the Jedi hadn't come out, so we didn't know what Darth Vader looked like from the front. So this is, you know, maybe what people might have thought Darth Vader might look like under his mask. But this is not Darth Vader. This is some other like evil guy, not a Sith Lord either. Some other civilization we haven't heard about previous to this. He knows that Luke is a Jedi, and he drew him here with a fake distress call, and now he's going to kill this Jedi, and that's what he's doing. He lures Jedi to here and kills them. And Luke tells him, "Look, I know you want revenge against the Jedi, but the Jedi are done. There are no more. The Jedi have been wiped out. They're extinct." And he freaks out hearing that. He's been, this computer program version of this guy has been living out this you know, quest for revenge, you know, for thousands and thousands of years. And he finds out that my revenge, my sweet thousands of years, yet no, all the Jedi gone. But how long have I been in this place? Months, yes, no, thousands of years, revenge, my sweet, all gone, all gone. It's going crazy. Everything's falling apart. I've got to get out of here. So this computer ghost thinks it's been there for maybe months, but it's actually been there for thousands of years. And yeah, the people he wanted revenge against are all gone anyway. He's got no reason left to live. He explodes, and Luke's just left to you know, live out this and put the pieces together and figure out what it all means. There is a lesson here somewhere. Perhaps if he stares into the flames for long enough, it will be revealed to him. Perhaps. What a cool ending. I mean, just a great little adventure for Luke, a great little lost adventure. You know, the more adventures of Luke Skywalker that we can get, the better, especially if they're at this quality. So, you know, bravo, Alan Moore, one of my favorite comics creators, goes head to head with one of my favorite universes, and create something wonderful. I'm really happy to have these stories in my collection. There's a second collection like this. There's a second Dark Horse book that collects. I think Alan Moore did like 2 more Star Wars stories, and they're in there. So you know, we'll have to talk about those. I'm Tom Scioli, author of I Am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee. And on May 6th, Free Comic Book Day, there'll be a Free Comic Book Day edition of I Am Stan. It'll be a comic book length excerpt of the larger book. Ask your comics retailer to reserve a copy of this Free Comic Book Day edition, because they're going to go fast. And in the show notes below, there's a pre-order link where you can pre-order the full version of I Am Stan, which will be out in stores in September. And if you're in Pittsburgh on Free Comic Book Day, May 6th, I'll be signing copies of I Am Stan from 1:30 to 4 at Phantom of the Attic, Oakland in Pittsburgh. I hope to see you there.